If you've ever thought that pistol caliber carbines cost too much, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. Like and comment. As always, the comment section is utterly and completely without law and order. Get down in there and try to bring some law and order to it. It will not work. Love you guys. Stay wild in there. Gentlemen, the biggest, and ladies, and other things, the biggest supporter of the channel right now is Big Daddy Unlimited. Big Daddy Unlimited is like the Costco of the gun world. You get in there, you have to subscribe. First month is 99 cents with my little link below. And you get extremely cheap gun parts and all that kind of stuff people are buying, and assembling ARs are super cheap. So go in there, check it out. You know I appreciate you guys. If you're looking for sick ammo, you have LEX ammo. If you're looking for sick bags and gloves, Vertex, a longtime supporter of the channel. Ladies, gentlemen, and my not forgotten but often overlooked Mark 18s, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting pistol. Thank you, ATF. And that's going to be the Stribog from Garand Power. So if you look at this, and if I didn't tell you what it was, you might think it was an APC 9 from B&T. And in fact, when I first got it, or when they told me what it was going to be, I was like, oh great, a B&T knockoff clone. What a piece of crap. And they told me how cheap it was. It was $6.99, and I'm like, oh, this thing's going to suck. I'm going to rip it apart in the video. And unfortunately, I was completely wrong. Well, not unfortunately, but I was completely wrong about this. And we'll talk about why. But before we get into that, let's get over our normal disclaimers as far as, my relationship. So first off, the Garand Power Stribogs are mostly imported by Global Ordnance. Global Ordnance supplied this to me through Leviathan Group. If you don't know, I do a lot of work with Leviathan Group. They do a lot of movies and all that kind of stuff. They're cool guys. But anyhow, I'm part of the whole tribe thing in there. So that's how I got my hands on this particular firearm. I don't have any relationship with Garand Power. No pressure to do a good review or anything like that. But, nonetheless, I do have a link to buy them if you want to do something like that. I think there's a small discount on it. Maybe not. I can't remember. But in any case, so be aware of those conflicts of interest if you think that might influence my review. But as is normal, nothing influences my reviews. I try to stay as honest and non-biased as possible. So let's get into this. First off, I do have about, not as many as I usually do, about 2,000 rounds on this, most of them suppressed. I've run this thing pretty dirty. I didn't put any lube on it. I pretty much took it right out of the box from the factory and started just treating it like crap. Threw it into the dirt and shooting a bunch of rounds and not letting it cool off and all that kind of stuff. So how did it do? Well, before we do that, let's get into this thing like it did great. But let's go tip to butt on this particular pistol. And it is a pistol. That is a brace, not a stock. We're going to go tip to butt and talk about all the different features of this and why you may or may not want this particular little guy. So, again, this is fairly evocative of the APC 9 from B&T. Now, I do not own an APC 9, although I have shot one. Not that much. It belongs to a buddy. But they are very well-constructed firearms. So I heard a lot of comparisons between the Garand Power and the APC 9 from B&T. Now, I do have one gun from B&T, and that is the, one moment while I pick it up. I have a lot of guns on the table here. Spoiler alerts. The GHM9, the Grasshopper Mouse 9. So this is an excellent pistol caliber carbine that is very precisely machined. There's a lot of craftsmanship that went into this, and it runs very, very well. So when I think of B&T, I think of Swiss quality. With, a gun from Slovakia, not so much. But in this case, I was very pleasantly surprised at how well this gun looks. The finish is very well done. The machining is very precise. I'm actually very surprised at how much I ended up liking this. Anyhow, that kind of aside, getting into this, first off, our barrel is 8 inches long. Perfect. We have a threaded muzzle at the end that can accept your normal stuff. I know this has a booster on it, but who really cares? So it accepts all your normal 9mm threaded suppressors, has a ton of threading to make sure nothing will happen. I haven't had any problems with stuff backing off on this particular design or anything like that. I do kind of like tri-lugs on these types of designs, and I understand it's very easy to swap out the barrels on these. and that there are multiples coming out. There's kind of a large aftermarket market kind of surging behind this particular firearm right here because it's so easy and so cheap. So the barrel, as far as accuracy is concerned, it's pretty typical of what you're expecting to get from a pistol caliber carbine. So I made offhand shots at 100+ yards with this bad boy, so I think it's pretty damn good. Probably more accurate than you, but don't expect to be shooting this thing, much further than that. You are trying to push 9mm more than it really should be pushed. But the barrel is awesome, phenomenal. It's a good contour as far as the amount of weight that you have up front, so I've been very pleased with that. Again, easy change, so good on them there. All right, as far as the front rail is concerned, so we have M-LOK on the sides right here. On the bottom, we have Picatinny, and on the top, we have Picatinny. Now, with this, we have a Picatinny section the entire length down. Now, on top of Picatinny here, I have an EOTech EXPS green mounted. That's what I use for this particular review. You know my thoughts on that. But what's cool about this forend right here is I like the placement of M-LOK right here. That's perfect for mounting lights and that type of thing. This rail is definitely strong enough to keep the 0 on a PEC or any type of IR laser illuminator out there. On the bottom, Picatinny is nice. It allows you to add whatever grip you want and that type of thing. So no complaints when it comes to that. Well done. The charging handle is changeable and non-reciprocating. Now, in this case, I switched it over to the right side. A lot of people would keep it to the left, especially with the non-reciprocating. But when I grip this, I like to have my hand precisely right where the charging handle would be on the left-hand side. So I opted to have it on the right. If I really need to use it, I just roll it over and pull it back. The optic is far enough back that it doesn't interfere with the movement of the charging handle. Pretty cool. I mean, the only thing I guess I could want is maybe like a foldable one or something like that, but that's just me being a bit of a bitch. So it works perfectly fine. Now, if you notice this compared to something like the GHM9, and I know I keep comparing it to the GHM9, but that's because there's the APC9 is so much more expensive that I didn't really consider them in the same realm. But you can see how kind of long the back end is on the GHM9. That's due to the operating principles and where they place the operating mechanism. Now, in the case of the Garand Power, it's more forward. So you have a little bit more forward weight compared to the GHM9. That being said, due to the short length of pull and that type of thing, the weight seems to be very well balanced. And I don't know what it is, but as you're firing, this is a direct blowback gun, by the way. So, don't expect it to be as soft recoiling as something like the Ultimate PCC, the MP5 or MP5 clone or something like that. But it is very good. It's about on par with the GHM9, maybe a little bit better. Not quite APC9, but that kind of has its own little mechanism going on. But anyhow, because you have a lot of the weight forward with the mass right here, what happens is that mass tends to drive the gun back down. So it ends up being a fairly well-balanced system, especially when you start firing this thing at speed, and speed it can definitely do. All right, before we get past there, let's talk about the sights. So there are rudimentary iron sights that are integrated into the Picatinny rail. They are good. They are good. I have no qualms about them. I know some people have said that theirs are off. Mine are fine. They are pretty inadjustable as far as that goes. When you have them flipped down, they are just a very small little notch. And when you flip them up, you have a peep sight for more accurate shooting. I prefer with this gun to have a very high mount that allows me to keep moving and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I have the EOTech on there, because if you notice with the height of the brace right here and the height of the optic, I have quite a bit of height there, and that's really comfortable for me when shooting a PCC because it's mostly done at speed. But in any case, all that rail stuff, all that, it's all excellent right up front there. Regarding the recoil on this, I kind of want to get into it before we go any further. This absolutely destroys any type of AR9. So, the AR was not really, the platform was not really designed around 9mm. So those 9mm ARs, or especially 9mm AKs, was really recoil hard. This thing was designed from the ground up to work around 9mm, and so it is very, very, it has a very nice recoil impulse compared to a lot of the things that you have out there, especially at the price of $699. I think it's pretty damn good. Of course, you have to buy the brace and stuff, so you have a little bit more cash going on there in proprietary mags, but pretty damn good. Okay, moving down to here with the magwell. The thing, I'm gonna nitpick right here. So the magwell has these little grips right here. You shouldn't be gripping the magwell because it's not 1980. So I really find those kind of unnecessary. I prefer the clean lines of the GH-M9 and the APC-9 where you don't have much going on there. But they have them there. I find that they just kind of get in the way when I'm trying to, well, not that they're, you know, in the way, but they're just, I think, unnecessary. The magazine well is flared very generously, and it's actually much better than the APC-9, the GH-M9, or even in my opinion, the MP5. The magazine flare gets that magazine straight in there. Now compare that to something like the GH-M9, and I know I'm shitting on this thing right now, but I really do like this gun quite a bit. You have a large lip right here that is all just solid plastic. So sometimes when you're coming in, you end up hitting that plastic and it kind of fucks up the reload a little bit. I wish they would have beveled the surface in to kind of make for a larger, smoother opening, kind of guide that right in, you know what I'm talking about. But they didn't, and so I don't think it's the best design. Now with this, they have it a little bit slimmer and the entire thing is magazine well. It makes for a very precise reload. I've not really had any trouble. Now, with the GH-M9, you might have heard that those magazines were having a little bit of trouble. So it's always frustrating to use a proprietary mag. That being said, the Glock magazine is not great for a pistol caliber carbine, so I understand why a lot of these guns are going to the proprietary mag. That being said, these are very strong and they're about 25 bucks last I checked. So that's easier to deal with than, say, you know, $60 mags or $70 mags. So 25 is not bad, and it does come with 3 mags when you buy it. So it's pretty serviceable from the start as far as being able to use it. I hate those guns that come with like 1 magazine. You know, like, hey, fuck me, right? But anyhow, magazines are excellent, hold 30 rounds, and that's all you should have, or bigger, because the more rounds, the better. Big old mags. The magazine release. So on earlier versions, this is apparently a problem, but magazine release for me works very well. I will say sometimes the magazine does stick. I don't know what causes that, but sometimes it sticks for me. You know, I just tend to rip out mags on pistol caliber carbines and not expect the magazine to drop free. If you do hit it and it doesn't rip free, you can always, with your you know, new mag, rip out that mag and insert the new one. So, you know, work the reloads a little bit. It is fairly smooth. When the gun goes to bolt lock, you can see free floating, not reciprocating. When the gun goes to bolt lock, you have the bolt release right above the magazine release. And instead of being like a press in, like an AR, you know, type design, or like on the GH-M9, where once you insert, it's just a little button, much like the AR-15, which I really appreciated. The Stribog kind of departed a little bit. They have a piece of sheet metal that is a little push down button, and you actually press it down in this direction to drop that bolt. So in the case of this right now, because it's an empty mag, it is a little stiff. Now, when you do not have an empty mag in there, best way to simulate that is to have no mag in there. That is fairly simple to drop down. So it is a very quick reload. It's just that the manual of arms is a little bit different. Curious that they chose that as opposed to like some type of paddle that you press down like on an AR-15. That would have really appeased my autism. But despite that, I'm not going to count it against it. It's a fairly easy issue to train through. All right, going past there, we have a very generous trigger guard, very similar to the GH-M9, the MP5. Precisely what I want. They did the right thing there. Now, what is wonderful, and you know it's coming, is the trigger. The trigger is really good. So if you know from watching my video on the B&T, the GH-M9, and the MP5, I've been fairly disappointed with pistol caliber carbine triggers. A trigger is vitally important to me. A short reset, a smooth, easy pull makes for a very quick shooting experience, along with other things like reset and recoil and all that stuff. It all adds together to make for a very pleasurable event. The Stribog got it right when it comes to the trigger. So let's go ahead and let's ghost this trigger together. Oh, safety, we'll talk about that in a second. Let's go ahead and let's ghost this trigger together. Put it to fire. All right, we have a little bit, about 1 millimeter of play. That maybe is maybe 5 pounds. All right, let's feel a reset here. It's so short. It's so awesome, actually. All right, let's press that again. 1 millimeter. That's got to be less than 5 pounds. That feels amazing. I don't do trigger pull weight pulls. I don't give a hell about. I don't care about those because there's a lot more than just the weight of the pull. All right, let's try that one more time. That reset. That is such a great trigger. It's such a short travel, and it's very light, but still military-like as far as the ability to, not discharge when you don't want it to. God, does it feel amazing. That is a really good trigger. Okay, let's compare that to the GHM9 here. Okay, put it to fire. GHM9. Okay, about 3 millimeters of play. Just nothing right there. Hit my wall. About 7 pounds. Let's feel that reset. Pretty short, very audible. Okay, about maybe closer to 6. Not amazing, not light, not the best thing in the world. So the Stribog trigger is a lot better. And that's comparing the GHM9, which is a much more expensive gun. So that is interesting. Now, still Swiss made and all that stuff that goes along with it. Very reliable. But still pretty cool that the Stribog, for such a low price, comes with such a great trigger. I was really kind of impressed by that. All right, let's go ahead and let's try out the safety now. So the safety is a little odd. It's a little creepy. We're ghosting the safety now. It's a little creepy right here. It doesn't like snap into place like a good AR safety or like a good MP5 safety. It kind of creeps a little before it clicks over. Now, it's not terrible. It's good. And the only thing I have about it is I wish it was a teeny bit longer. The only thing I wish about it was that it was a teeny bit forward, because as it stands right now, it's kind of in an odd position. It works. It's very similar to many other pistol caliber carbines where I don't think they're in the best position, but it's fine. I am nitpicking it. I just don't think it's the best. And that's compared to an AR-15 as far as ergonomics, which I do think are the best. It's definitely on par with the GHM9. Although I will say, on the GHM9 and the B&T APC9, you do have this really generous paddle right here that engages your thumbs. A nice little gas pedal right there. I kind of wish that the Stribog had that little gas pedal right there. I'm sure aftermarket will come, but as it stands right now, not the best. I'm nitpicking right here. Grip angle is perfect. I like shallow grip angles, and here it is. Not like fucking on my wrist when I'm grabbing. I'm not messing up my wrist when I'm grabbing onto this thing. That is perfect. Good grip angle there. Very similar to the GHM9 and other more modern pistol caliber carbines. So that is good right there. The grip right here is good. Nice and textured in case your hands get wet. So that is exactly what you want. The back here, the end cap for attaching either a brace or a stock if you SBR this thing. It's very easy to change out. In this case, I have an SB brace on there. It feels really good. In the future, I'm probably going to SBR this and throw a 1913 adapter so I can throw a SIG stock on there because I really like the SIG stocks quite a bit. But just a good overall design. As far as comparisons, I mean, there is nothing that shoots as soft in the 9mm world as the MP5. Everything else tries, but nothing is there. What's funny about these pistol caliber carbines is this recoils more than a very well-tuned AR-15. Interesting for a 9mm. Now, there are still reasons to use 9mm for penetration, for flash and bang, and all that kind of stuff that goes along with it. So the 9mm still has a purpose, but I always found that amusing. But in any case, it recoils more than an MP5. It recoils more than the APC9, but it definitely recoils on par or perhaps better than the GHM9, which is phenomenal given the price. So for the price point of $699, also coupled with the fact that the reciprocating mass really pushes the gun back down, phenomenal trigger, and just really good ergonomics, I actually do prefer this more than the GHM9. Not to say that the GHM9 is a terrible design, because I really do love it, but I really think that they got it right with this. So I really have enjoyed shooting this in the videos. You can see I was having a good time pushing it pretty hard. A lot of my buddies were there and they tried it out, and everyone was pretty impressed with this design overall, especially given the price point. So if this thing were like, closer to 1,000, I'd still consider it a good buy, but at $699, this thing is excellent. So get out there, guys. If you need a pistol caliber carbine, I can't think of a worse way to go. with this. It is tough and reliable. I threw this thing in the mud, shot it and all that kind of stuff, and it ran. Is this Marine Corps proof? No, nothing is Marine Corps proof. Is this Army proof? I think so. You Army cats are pretty smart. You can read, so I can appreciate that. In any case, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. The biggest thing is this thing cool? Does it look cool? Absolutely, it looks super cool. That being said, if you don't know how to shoot, if you're not trained, you're not gonna look cool. So get training. T-Rex Arms, Bear Solutions, Cogworks, Tony Cowden, Pat McNamara, all these esoteric, all these great guys, I can't even name all of them right now, are awesome, and they're looking to give you knowledge. Get out there, get training from these gentlemen, become a better shooter and a better person. Thank you for watching. This thing is awesome. Get in there. Take care. As always, gentlemen, ladies, and my Mark 18s, look cool. I've got nothing else for you. Last thing for you guys, the litmus test. I've used this on every date I've ever been on. How does the person you're on a date with treat other people, especially waiters, servers, people at checkout lines? That's always a really good indicator of the type of person that somebody is. If they're assholes to them, they're probably an asshole. Just a little thought. Thank you for watching, guys. If you guys have watched this far, you guys are my ultra fans. The best way to support me is, of course, Patreon. That goes directly into camera equipment, lights, all that kind of stuff, production, computers, memory cards. I burn through memory cards like every week. I seriously break these things so often. So if you want to support me that way, highly encourage, and I do appreciate your support, and you possibly win a chance to come and shoot with me. One winner picked every month. Thank you for watching, guys. I'm always appreciative of everything you guys do for me. Take care of yourselves.